What's up guys, and welcome back to Decks Explained. This is my series where we go through the best and most exciting decks in the current standard format. Today we have a deck that I've been playing in best of 3 rank to some success. Now first I am going to explain the deck. If you want to skip the explanation, there will be timestamps in the comments. And also I know a few people have been asking about deck lists in the previous video, and I just wanted to let everybody know that there is an exportable deck list on my Stream Decker. And I do leave a link to that in the description. As always, I'd really appreciate it if you guys liked the video and subscribe to my channel. And let me know your favorite War of the Spark deck in the comments below. But anyway, let's get into the deck. Alright, so here's the deck here. If you're familiar with White Weenie from RNA Standard, it's very similar with some new powerful cards from War of the Spark. Starting off with our 1-drops, we have Dauntless Bodyguard. So Dauntless Bodyguard's a 2-1 that can apply a lot of good early pressure. And then as he enters the battlefield, you choose a creature, and you can sacrifice him to make chosen creature indestructible. This ability allows us to overcommit to the board a little bit more, and we can save our creatures from a board wipe if they're using that. This is a new card from War of the Spark, Law Rune Enforcer. So it's a 2-1 for 1, and then we can pay 1 and tap it to tap any creature with converted mana cost 2 or greater. This is an insane card against the mid-range decks, or even the other aggro decks. You can just tap down their creatures and get in for damage. You can tap down their attackers before they get in. Just really allows you to get in extra tempo, and being a 1-drop, it's really efficient with our Venerated Loxodon, our different Convoke cards. Just fits in the deck really well. Before we were playing cards like Rustwing and Healer Hawk, which weren't that efficient, and now we can play a card that's just great in the 1-drop slot. And then we have another 2-1 for 1. It's Skymarch Ascendant. So she has Ascend. And then when you ascend, so if you have 10 or more permanents, it has flying. And if you do get those 10 permanents, you do have the ascend effect for the rest of the game. Another ascend card is Snubhorn Sentry. So if you get ascend for this guy, he gets +3/+0, so he becomes a 3/3. Just really strong 1-drops, which is exactly what we want in this deck. And our last 1-drop, we have Legion's Landing. So Legion Landing enters the battlefield and creates a 1/1 white vampire. And then if you attack with 3 or more creatures, you transform it. And then when it's transformed, you can pay 2 colorless and 1 white and tap it to make a 1/1 white vampire with lifelink. This card's just really effective because against the control decks, you can continue to pressure them without committing any cards to the board. And then even if they board wipe, you can use this at the end of the turn to just keep the pressure up. Just really efficient card, and allows us to win against the control decks where we might not previously. Moving on to our 2-drops, we have another card that's really good against the control decks, a Danto Vanguard. So it's a 1/1 for 2, and as long as it's attacking, it gets +2/+0, and then you can pay 4 life to make it indestructible. The indestructible effect is a really powerful part of this card. It allows you to get in for 3 usually if they have any creatures, because you can just pay 4 life and take out their creature. Life is a resource, so if you can pay 4 life to get a card of theirs, that's card advantage. And then also against the control decks, if they're using board wipes that aren't -X/-X, then you can obviously save him from that. Just a really good card. Our other 2-drop, I do just have a 1 of Tithe Taker. This is kind of just a slot filler. I would have another Gideon Blackblade, but unfortunately I only have the 1. But Tithe Taker's still a great 2-drop. So Tithe Taker's a 2/1 for 2, and he says, during your turn, spells and abilities your opponents activate or cast cost 1 more, and then he has Afterlife for 1. So he's just efficient and makes your opponent's turns a little bit more awkward. But like I said, if I did have another Gideon, I would be playing him in this slot. So in our 3-drop slots, we have our more powerful cards. We have Benelish Marshal, which works with all our small creatures. So he's 3 white mana for a 3/3 and says other creatures you control get +1/+1. This is just a really powerful effect in our deck. Really, the Anthem effect just allows us to pump up our entire board and get in for an extra like 3 to 4 damage and kill our opponent quickly. If they can't kill him, it's just a crazy amount of pressure. Next, we have an insanely powerful card from War of the Spark, Gideon Blackblade. Really wish I had 2 of these, but unfortunately I only have 1. So Gideon says, as long as it's your turn, he's a 4/4 soldier, and then prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to Gideon during your turn. So his +1 allows you to give another target creature Vigilance, Lifelink, or Indestructible. This allows you to either keep up another blocker, gain some life, or make your creature so it doesn't die. Just super powerful, and you can activate it even if you don't have a creature because it's up to 1. And then if you can get him up to 6, his -6 is exile target non-land permanent, which we don't really have a lot of these effects other than our enchantments that remove stuff, so it's just a really powerful effect to keep on the board. And of course he is a planeswalker, so he's a little bit tougher to remove, and coming in at 4 and you can +1 to 5. Having 5 loyalty, he's really tough to deal with. And then we have a classic card that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, History of Benalia. The first turn when this enters the battlefield, you get a 2/2 Knight with Vigilance. The second turn on your upkeep, you'll get another 2/2. And then on the third turn, Knights you control get +2/+1. So this card generates insane value. You get 2/2/2s with Vigilance, and then you get extra damage, all for 3 mana, which is insanely efficient. And then we do have Vanillish Marshal and Dauntless Bodyguard are both Knights, so those do pump those up if you have them on the battlefield. History is just a great card and is great for any white deck. And then we have one of the best cards from War of the Spark that has been making its way into a lot of decks, Teferi Time Raveler. So we're playing this card for the passive effect and the -3. The passive effect says each opponent can only cast spells anytime they can cast a sorcery. So during your turn or between phases, they can't cast spells, which is insanely powerful, especially in an aggro deck, and it makes your opponent's turns really awkward. The +1's not as relevant other than giving Teferi a loyalty counter, because we don't have any sorcery spells in our deck. But the -3, return 1 artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, draw a card, is insanely powerful. You can use this as a tempo play to pop their creatures back, or to make them like recast a Search for Azcanta while still getting in pressure. It just puts your opponent back a turn and is just really, really powerful. Teferi's an insane planeswalker, and I love playing him in this deck. In our 4-drops, we have Conclave Tribunal, so it's a Convoke enchantment. And when it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until it leaves. So we can convoke this card using our small creatures, and we can play it for usually like 2 mana or so. It's just really powerful. Another convoke creature we have is Venerated Loxodon. So again, working with our small creatures, we can convoke this, and then each creature that convoked it gets a +1/+1 counter. So kind of similar to Vanillish Marshal, but the +1/+1 counters are going to stay, and it's a little tougher to remove being a 4/4. And also the 4/4 body is quite relevant if you can cast it on like turn 3 or whatever. And then for our lands, we just have all of the blue-white lands, but we want all of our lands to tap for white, just because we're playing Vanillish Marshal as triple white, and we want to cast on a turn 3 if we can every time. I'll bring up our sideboard real quick. So in our sideboard, we have a 1 of Demystify that says destroy target enchantment. We're playing this just because it's really efficient. You can cast creatures still, and then have the 1 white mana up to destroy any pesky enchantments like Wilderness Reclamation or whatever. We have a Spell Pierce that's kind of in the same vein, just having a cheap counter spell that we can hold up for 1 blue mana. For Baffling End, a lot of the time people aren't going to be boarding in enchantment removal against us, so Baffling End can sometimes just be a straight removal. Baffling End says when it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls with converted mana cost 3 or less, and then if it leaves the battlefield, they get a 3/3, but often they won't be removing this enchantment, and even if they are boarding in enchantment removal, it won't be that good against us. This card's really efficient against like the Feather decks and some of the earlier like Llanowar Elf decks and such. So we're playing 4. It's just a really efficient removal spell on the side. And then we have a 1 of Disdainful Stroke. So Disdainful Stroke says counter target spell with converted mana cost 4 or greater. We just want to be playing this against the mid-range decks or their Nexus decks. It just gives us an extra counter spell that's really efficient against both mid-range with creatures and the control decks and like Nexus and such. And then we have 3 Dovin's Veto. So this spell can't be countered, and it says counter target non-creature spell. It's just an improved negate, and obviously they can contest it. Then we have 2 Deputy of Detention. This card's just really good for dealing with pesky enchantments, or if you just want to do like a tempo play and remove their creature for a turn if they're playing like bigger creatures, or if they're playing like a non-interactive deck, like Bant or something, and you can just remove a permanent, and then the Deputy can just sit there for the rest of the game. Teferi being so powerful, we have 2 more of them in the sideboard. This is really efficient against the Esper control decks, just making them so they can't counter your spells, can't do removal in your turn. It's just so powerful. And lastly, we have an island. I usually bring this in if we're bringing in extra blue cards. Just because we have so many sideboard blue cards, we really want an extra source of blue, so that just gives us a 9th source of blue. But that pretty much sums up the deck. This deck is really powerful and allows us to play a lot of early pressure and can be really aggressive. We'll get into some games here and see if we can get some wins. All right, so here's our first game. Our hand's not that great. We're just gonna mulligan it. This is a lot better. We have we have 3 lands for Teferi, and then we have 2 1-drops so we can play early. We don't want that 4th land though. Ideally, we draw another 1-drop so we can play 2 1-drops on turn 2. Ugh, these lands. Come on, Dick. I'll be curious to see what he's on. He just played a Steam Vents. He could be on some Jeskai. He could be on Drakes or something. Phoenix, probably. Yeah, I think he's on Phoenix. Here, we're just going to go Dauntless. And then we'll get him for 1. Depending on what he does here, we might want to go Venerated Loxodon next turn. I think we are, unless he removes one of our creatures. If he does remove a creature, then we'll play Teferi. Especially if he's on like Spell Pierce or something. This puts us in a really good place. And we did draw another 1-drop, so we can play him for free, essentially. And then we'll tap our 3 guys here, pay 2. I think this is a good matchup for us, so I'm feeling pretty good here. Our Law Rune Enforcer can tap down any Phoenix. Yeah, he's just going to concede to that. He can't deal with it. Game 2, he might have like a Fiery Cannonade at the sideboard or something, but I think we want... Oh. Did he just concede? All right. I guess people just don't want to play against aggro sometimes. But that's okay. We got a quick game in there, and we'll go to another one. That's funny. I love when you get wins like that. Sometimes people are just like, screw this. I've did that before, though. Playing against like mono red, and I'm playing a bad matchup. I'm just like, I'm not dealing with this shit. But that's okay. Let's get into our second one here. Hopefully we can get another quick win. All right, and we are on the play, which is awesome. This hand is really good. We have 2 1-drops, and then we have a Conclave. And we do have 3 lands for History of Benalia, which is awesome. I think we're just going to play this on turn 1. Island. He might be on mono blue. He could be on Nexus. We'll see, though. No attacks. Next turn, we're probably going to play History, but... Oh, yeah, he's on Nexus. Okay. Actually, next turn we can play Conclave Tribunal on his Search for Azcanta. Slow him down a little bit. We can get in for 2, and then tap our Snubhorn for the Conclave. This should be an okay matchup if we can apply some early pressure. We do have quite a few permanents, so we should be able to get this guy to a 3/3 fairly quick. And he doesn't have a green source, it looks like. And he can't blow up this blast zone quite yet. We'll get in for 2 here. And then we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't draw a green source. I hate playing against Nexus, but... He doesn't put any counters. I guess he's just going to keep it at 1. Oh, he didn't draw another land. Nice. That's good for us. And that's an insane draw there. And we did get our 10 permanents, so we're just going to play Benelish. He might have a counter spell, but hopefully not. Yeah, like I said, this deck can apply insane early pressure. He bounces our token, which is fine. We still get to get in here for 7. That will threaten lethal next turn if he doesn't have like a root snare or whatever. He does need a land off the top, and hopefully for him a green one. And he didn't get it. Nice. So we did get game 1 against Nexus with that crazy early pressure. And if your opponent does stumble at all, you can really like capitalize on that. We're going to board in Demystify as something to deal with enchantments. We want Spell Pierce. We want Disdainful Stroke. We want Dovin's Vetoes and Deputies since he can't really interact. And we also want Teferi Time Reveler just so he can't do stuff end of turn. I think our matchup, especially post-board, is really good here. As far as boarding things out, probably want to board out Conclaves. Adanto's fine, but he's a little slow. And then Snubhorns and 2 Venerated. That should be good. I'm feeling good about this matchup here. Obviously, we are up a game as well, so. Let's go into game 2 here. Hopefully we can get a really good hand. Yeah, like I said earlier, let me know what decks you're playing in War of the Spark. I've been playing a lot of random ones, but I've been having a lot of fun. This is a great hand. We have a 1-drop, and then on turn 2, we have Dovin's Veto. We also have Tide Taker and Benelish Marshal Gideon on 3 if we can draw another land. He also mulligans to 6, which is really good for us. Awesome, and there's our 3rd land. So we're going to go just Legion's Landing here. I think on turn 2, we're going to play the Tide Taker because we want to apply that pressure. I would want to hold up Dov. Oh my god, he didn't draw land. Jeez. We're getting some easy games here. Maybe just playing against opponents that aren't keeping the best hands, but... Well, I apologize, guys. These are quick, easy games. Hey, at least I'm getting my rank up. And since they're quick, we'll keep playing. I'll probably just put that as a chunk in the timestamps, just like free wins. But that's the thing about the aggro deck is you can kind of just apply early pressure, and if they stumble at all, you can just kill them. It doesn't even feel like we're getting into our 3rd game here just because those went so quick. This is really good, though. We have 1-drops, and then we have 2-drops. We could even go like Dauntless on 1 or Legion's Landing, and then turn 2, play 2 1-drops. Ooh, and it's a Fairy on 3. We're getting lucky today. We'll play a Dauntless just because it's 2 damage. He might be on Grixis. His hand doesn't look like it's that good because he's playing tap lands. He could also be on like a Rakdos kind of aggro or Rakdos control kind of deck. I think we're going to play a Danto on turn 2 here. We don't really have anything that benefits from us playing multiple creatures like a Venerated or a Benelish Marshal, so it's better to just play the Adanto. That's going to be better against his targeted removal. Looks like he's on some weird Grixis deck. Very interesting. Here we're going to go... If we go land untapped, that gives us 4 mana. No, okay, I was just thinking we could play Dauntless Legions and then Conclave his guy. We're just going to play this tap then and attack in. If he blocks, we'll just pay the 4 life, but he did not. Then we'll play a Legion's Landing in the Dauntless. The Dauntless will be targeting our Legion token. These block fairly well against his Viashino Pyromancer. I can't imagine what he's on, like Grixis Burn or something, Grixis Wizards. We're gonna make that indestructible. That way it blanks his removal, and now he can't attack just because we have the indestructible token. That's fine, though. I'll take 2. I think we just want to play Teferi here. And just +1.
Stand by and watch. No, I am not making this up as I go.
We're gonna attack him with the Danto, but not our token here. We'll hold the token up to block. Opt is fine. What an interesting deck. If he goes after Teferi, we just get to block his guys. But he did not. Okay, he just concedes. So just based on what we saw, we're gonna board in these guys. Board out the Tide Takers and Adantos. Geez, I'm not really sure what he's on. You know what? This is fine. We'll try it like this and see how it goes. It's tougher to board against these decks where you're not really sure what they're on. So this hand's great. We have 2 1-drops, and then we have Benalia. We also have Venerated Loxodon, so we just want a 3rd land. We're going to play Snubhorn on 1 just because he can't shock that, especially since he played a land untapped. We essentially got to deal 2 damage to him because he did that to himself. He probably thought he was going to shock someone, but he can't really shock our Snubhorn Sentry. Yep, he just wastes that. Opt is fine. We don't draw anything else, like another 1-drop. Yeah, we're just going to play this tapped. We really need that 3rd land to play the number of cards we have in our deck here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a shock on our guy end of turn. Yep. That's all good. Yeah, we really need that 3rd land. Shock is fine. Light up the stage, maybe? Yeah, okay. Very interesting. No 3rd land still, though. That's annoying. All in due time, though. All in due time. He doesn't have a lot of pressure, luckily. Hopefully he doesn't... Okay, that's fine. I was going to say, hopefully he doesn't go like Bolus here or something, but not really sure what he's doing. Guess he's just on like a Grixis Burn deck, which I'm not sure why you would play, but we did get that extra land there. I think we just want to go Benalia here. Get our permanent count up. No attacks for 0. I guess he's playing Ral, like counter burn, maybe copy burn.
You like the gauntlets?
I don't know if I've seen any black cards from him though. So we'll play Benelish here, and then that allows us to go attack Ral and play our Venerated Loxodon. We could play Teferi, or we could play, or sorry, not Teferi. We could play our time Conclave Tribunal and hit Ral with that, but we don't really care. We'd rather just pressure him.
It's easy. Quantum particles, blah, blah, blah. You die.
That's fine. Right now we have 18, so even if he kills one of our guys, we should still kill him. And then our guys are going to get plus from the history of Benalia, so... Unless he kills us here, I'm pretty sure he's just dead. Maybe he's playing, like, Electrostatic, and then, like, just trying to cast a bunch of spells and stuff. And I guess the opt, like he's trying to take advantage of Ral with the opt. But he does just die here. We can just play Teferi. Or we could have played Conclave and bounced this guy.
Sorry, I'm late.
And then just attacking for the win. Yep. Nice. We're getting some good luck today. That brings us to Diamond 3. I'll probably play at least 1 or 2 more. I know we've only had like 1 really real game, and even that one was pretty quick. So this hand is not too good. We need lands. This one's pretty much the same. We'll go to 5. This one's a lot better. Sometimes the 5 is way better than the 6. We'll actually keep that, because now we can go 1-drop and then two 1-drops on turn 2. We'll play Dauntless here just because he gets in for damage on turn 2 versus the Snubhorns that don't. I think our ideal draw would be like a History of Benalia. History of Benalia times 2 would be awesome. That's fine. Probably on Grixis here. Grixis is a cool deck I've been playing around with a little bit. Ooh, that's a good one. I think Venerated Lockstone would actually be our best draw here. History of Benalia obviously would be good as well. But we are sitting at 5 permanents right now out of 10. That's the unfortunate part about the mulligan is it makes your ascend a little bit tougher. Huh. He doesn't have much here. Unfortunately, we didn't draw anything spectacular. We're just going to play Snubhorn here and hopefully get in for 4. He might have removal, though. Oops. Attack with those. Looks like he's thinking about it. It's fine. So we're sitting at 6 permanents right now. If we can get to 10, we'll be in a really good place, but that's not good. We're gonna keep playing it out, but maybe not, actually. That sucks. If I would have drawn a creature there, I might have kept playing, but can't really beat that board wipe there. So let's... Snubhorns aren't great here, especially if he's playing B-Deck. I think we want to take out some of these. We'll bring in Teferi's, Disdainful Stroke, and then Spell Pierce and a land. And I think we can bring in a Dovin's Veto. This feels fine to me. I don't even know. The Law Rune's probably good against Nekobolas. Maybe we should have taken out 1 Law Rune for another Dovin's Veto, but we'll see how this one goes. We did mulligan to 5 there, so I don't feel that bad about that. I think if we drew like anything good there, we would have been in a good place. If we had a second land in this hand, that would have been really good, but this one's a lot better. If we can draw blue land for Teferi, we have him on 3. History of Benalia. We're going to keep that on top. So we're going to go Sky Marcher for the early damage. Turn 2, we'll go Law Rune. Hopefully we can draw 3rd land. It might have been History of Benalia to the bottom just because we don't have the 3rd land, but at least we do have Conclave Tribunal if he is trying to play any permanents or whatever. And then ideally we'll draw a 3rd land off the top. I don't think his deck's like applying a lot of early pressure anyway. He's kind of just drawing and stuff. That's an insane draw. So here, I think we want to just go to Fairy. That way if on turn 3 he's on like counter spells or whatever, we just don't have to worry about that. Or sorry, yeah, his turn 3, our turn 4. But we'll attack for 3 here. And then that does draw us to more lands and such and more relevant spells. He might just be on deck or something here. He could also be on a negate though. But if he is on a negate, it doesn't matter because it's a fairy. I always forget how insane this card is. Let's attack in. We don't have to worry about anything. And then we'll play Benalia as well as Dauntless. I think Dauntless, we actually want to target our Law Rune. That way, nice, we did Ascend there. That way if he's on Nekobolas, we can tap him down. That's not good though. That's fine, I guess. We do have another creature here, and we do have a Teferi and History on the board, so it's not as bad. Luckily we did draw Knight. We'll +1 Teferi here. And then just go to his turn.
Might be a bad idea.
I think he has a really good white-white matchup. Well, I mean white-blue here, but especially drawing 2 Cry the Carnarium, it's pretty tough to beat. We'll We'll see what we draw here, because we could get another, like, History of Benalia.
Goes nothing.
We'll take one more draw step and then see how it goes. Obviously, there's good and bad matchups, as with every deck, so... that seems pretty bad. We're just going to concede to that. That's all good. He drew really well. The double Cry of the Carnarium's pretty tough to beat. That's a-okay, though. We'll keep going here. Alrighty, so we are on the play here. This hand's not the best, but we are going to keep it. We do have our lands to play our Benelish Marshals, and then we do have a 1-drop. Hopefully we can draw another 1 or a 2. But even just dropping Benelish on the play here is pretty powerful. And having the 2-1 on turn 1. I'd rather take this than the 6. And we did get another small creature that will get pumped up with our Benelish Marshal. That's a little bit annoying, but luckily we do have 2 of them, so it's not that big a deal. If he has like on like a Ritual of Soot or a Kaya's Wrath, that's a little bit annoying, but we'll have to see here. We are gonna get in for 5 this turn. Actually, no. We want to play Benelish here. I was thinking about playing a Danto just because of in case he was on like some sort of board wipe, but he wouldn't play a board wipe till the turn after next turn anyway, because next turn he'll be on 3 mana. So all he can really do is Cry of the Carnarium, and if he does do that, all we lose is our Dauntless Bodyguard. It's really about thinking about what your opponent has, or might have, and playing around it. That's all fine, though. Unfortunately, we're drawing a lot of lands here, but we're going to play our Danto. If he is just on a Kaya's Wrath, we're in a pretty good place here. But if he's on a Cry of the Carnarium, we might get screwed here. That's a really good card against us. That's fine. People have been cutting Cry against certain decks, so... Like, there's not that much white aggro on the ladder or mono reds, so... A lot of people have been cutting them. Luckily, we can still deal 2 damage to him, as well as killing his Teferi with our Law Rune. We're going to play a Danto here. And then we'll play Dauntless on our Law Rune here. Luckily, he's stumbling a little bit. So we'll attack his Teferi, attack him. He'll go to 8. And then if he's on Kaya's Wrath, we can save 2 of our guys. Make a Danto indestructible, and then make a guy indestructible with our Dauntless. He doesn't have the Kayas here. Depends what he's on. Teferi's fine. He probably bounces our Danto again. I think he's just looking for a board wipe at this point. Cry of the Carnarium or Kaya's. Though Kaya's isn't super strong. He is going to go to 4, luckily. Oh, wow. And a second of Dantos is really good for us here. I wasn't too sure about this game when we were starting, but... Now, if he is on Cry of the Carnarium, we're in a tough position, but if not, we're in a great position. I think we just want to play the 1. If he's just on targeted removal, we should be able to kill him still. Okay, so I think he's just looking for knowledge here. And then he'll probably just concede. That is always a good play. If you are going to concede, you can like Thought Erasure or Duress and just see like kind of what they're playing. So against Esper here, we want the Island, we want our Spell Pierce, these Dovin Vetoes, and Teferi. Boarded out. Conclave. These guys, and then 1. And so like that. Benelish isn't that good against targeted removal. He's playing a lot of like Mortify and Cast Out probably. Just a little bit ban inefficient. This deck's really good though, and a great adaptation of the white deck from last standard. We like keeping this hand though. Adanto's super good against Esper. Unfortunately, we're a little land heavy, but as long as we can draw like our 3-drops and such, we should be in a good place. That's fine. If he was on Thought Erasure there, that wouldn't be that good for us. Huh, interesting cards. Here we're just gonna play Snubhorns. We're just on like mono Snubhorn here. If we can get a 4th one, we'll be 4 of a kind. Unfortunately, we don't get in for any damage, but if we can get our 10 permanents, we'll be able to do a lot here. And this is pretty good against Cry of the Carnarium. I assume next turn we're going to play Hallowed Fountain tapped and play a Danto, but it kind of depends on what he's on. Duress is A-okay. We don't have anything Duressable. Hero of the Precinct one. So it looks like he's on Esper Hero. I thought he was on Esper Control, but that's all fine. Right now we have 7 permanents. If we can play a land next turn, that'll bring us 8, and then that's not very good for us, at least. We're back down to 6. I think we drew a little bit too many lands here. This might be a loss, but that can happen. Yeah, that's just too many lands. Just an unlucky draw there. That's A-okay. So that makes things a little bit different. I think we want Baffling Ends here, actually. Over some number of Dovens. Probably not that many, though. Let's go like that. At least then we have some sort of interaction with his smaller creatures, especially if he's playing like Thief of Sanity or something. This is a really good hand. We have early interaction and we have 1-drops. Huh. Sorry about that, guys. So let's go turn 1 Snubhorn here. Turn 2 we'll probably go Adanto. He didn't have a turn 1 play, which is good for us. If he goes Esper, or Hero, sorry, on turn 2, then we're in a pretty good place. We can just Baffling End it. Yep, that's fine. Unfortunately, again, drawing a lot of lands, but at least we have some interaction, some early creatures. And also, we do have quite a few permanents for Snubhorn. This gives us 2. So we're currently on 5, 8. So next turn, if we can get a creature or a planeswalker or whatever, we will have our Ascend there. We do get to get him for 3. If he's on like a Teferi or something here, that's a little bit annoying. Thought Eraser's fine, though. I wonder if he has a 3rd land. He does. Awesome. So we actually do get to play another Snubhorn, and then we do get to Ascend, as well as flipping our Legion's Landing with enough mana to get a token end of his turn. We're just in an excellent place here. Removing that hero is essential, and then we do get to punish him. Bellhaunt's fine. We're just going to create a token. We discard our land here, it's fine. Another Danto's insanely good. So I believe here we just attack all. He'll probably block a snub horn, but he'll take a bunch of damage in the process. Yep. So he takes 8. And then I think next turn, unless he gains any life or whatever, we should be able to kill him. If he's just wiping the board or whatever without a Cry of the Carnarium, we're in a pretty good place here. Of course, he could have Cry, but I doubt he'd be playing Cry amongst the hero. He could have like a Time Wipe, though, or something. Teferi, Time Raveler won't do it for him. I think he just loses now. He can bounce a Danto or Snubhorn, but then he takes 3 from one of these that he doesn't block, and then the 2 tokens. Unless he can play a land here and then play a removal spell. But I think we have him. I can't think of what he would have. Like, if he had land Moment of Craving, that would have saved him, but we're just gonna attack. And then he should be dead. Nice. So that was a pretty good win against Esper Hero. I think I'll just play one more game and then we'll finish up the video here. Been having definitely a successful day. Diamond 4 to Diamond 3 in 2 ticks. I definitely like best of 3 more for climbing in the ranked ladder. I find best of 1 feels really, really slow. Even though you only have to play 1 game, you do only get 1 tick, so I don't know. It just it doesn't feel that good. See how this one goes, though. We are in the play. This hand is not good. We don't want 5 lands. We don't really want 4 lands either, but we do have 2 1-drops, so we'll take it. And then there's a second 1-drop to play on turn 2. We're going to play Law Rune Enforcer. And then next turn we'll go Dauntless Legion Landing. Ideally we can draw like a History or a Venerated Loxodon, but I don't have my hopes up. If he's not on early removal, then we can just flip our Legion's Landing, which would be really good for us. We do have to see, though. If we draw Teferi, that's pretty good. Oh, wow, there's the Loxodon. I think we just want to play Venerated Loxodon. Although I would like to flip our Legion's Landing here. I think this is more important. Especially while we have the creatures out. Next turn we can get in for an insane amount of damage and hopefully flip our Legion's Landing. Interestingly enough, he wasn't on a cast down or anything. If he's on like a Teferi here, that's fine for us. We don't really care. Because he'll still take... That's pretty good for him. He's going to take now 11 damage. If he is on a Chaos next turn, that's fairly good for him, but we do get to keep one of our creatures. He goes to 6. We'll play a land here. I believe he is on Chaos just because he moused over our Dauntless Bodyguard just to see what it was on. But we will get to keep our Law Rune Enforcer, sorry. Okay, he just concedes. Nice. Yeah, the early pressure is pretty insane. So I think he's on Esper Control. We're not going to go too hard on the Dovin's Vetoes, I don't think, just because I don't know 100%. We're going to board out some Conclaves, and then some Law Runes. Probably bring in one more Conclave. Let's go like that. We'll see how game 2 goes. To be determined, depending on what he's on. If he's on Esper Hero, then we might be in a kind of a bad place, but I feel like this deck has a lot of good matchups. Especially if you can draw well and your opponent doesn't draw so well, but I guess that's any sort of deck. We do have Sky Marcher and Legion's Landing on turn 2 here, and then if we can draw another 1-drop, we're in a really good place. If we can draw a 3rd land, we're in a really good place. But yeah, this feels pretty good. And we do have 2 additional turns to draw those, so Thought Eraser's fine. We do have a lot of good cards, so it doesn't really matter what he takes. He does take the history, though, which makes me think he's not on Cry of the Carnarium or Kaya's. At least here we can go Legion's Landing, and then 2nd Legion's Landing. That gives us some creatures so we can cast our Venerated Loxodon. And then also possibly we can flip that for a 3rd land. He may be on Teferi here, which would be pretty good. He could like bounce one of our creatures. Thought Eraser's fine. I assume he takes our Venerated Loxodon because we can't cast the Teferi. Yep. But we should get to flip our Legion's Landing here, which is great. We did get a 3rd land, but we don't really care about that. Well, I guess it gives us the mana to activate our Adanto. So here I think we're just going to keep making tokens and keep pressuring him that way. He did stumble on lands. Jeez, our opponents are getting really unlucky today. See, and like now with Adanto, we don't even like we could play our Tithe Taker here, but we don't have to. I'd rather just keep the cards in hand, and then he can't counter anything. He can't cast any removal on our turn unless he's targeting a creature we already have on the board. And then end of his turn, we can just activate our Adanto and get another creature. It makes 1 additional damage every turn, keeps building pressure. Yeah, even here, like, yes, like a 2-1 is better than a 1-1, but if we just hold up our mana, he doesn't know what we have. And then even if he like wipes the board here, we get to kill him because he's at 1 life, and then we can just make a 1-1 end of turn. But that was a super quick game against Esper there. They kind of stumbled, but we had the early pressure, really good hands there. And that brings us almost to Diamond 2. I think I'm going to end the video there, guys, but I hope everybody enjoyed it. I know it was a bit of a longer one, but I wanted to include some games so everybody could kind of see what the deck was doing here. As always, if you did like the video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel, as that does really help me out. And I'm almost at 100 subscribers, so that's super exciting. Hopefully I'll be doing another video in the next few days, but I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you later.